In a small-town diner in Alabama, Aaliyah, a 30-year-old black woman, moved swiftly between tables, refilling coffee and scribbling orders. She had the poise of someone used to being underestimated. One day, a well-dressed white man in his mid-40s walked in. Grant Holloway, a well-known food critic and former MasterChef guest judge, sat down with a dismissive smirk. He barely looked at Aaliyah.
If you believe stories like this need to be heard, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss a moment that matters.
When she greeted him, he whispered to his companion, not quietly enough. Bet she can't even pronounce foie gras, let alone cook it. Aaliyah smiled politely, hiding the sting behind her eyes. What he didn't know, that the recipe behind the Southern fusion sandwich he devoured had come from her, not the chef. But to him, she was just a black waitress. Aaliyah had learned to cook in her grandmother's kitchen in Georgia, a woman who once cooked for civil rights leaders and fed hungry protesters in the 60s. Every spice, every dish, carried stories of struggle, culture, and survival. Though Aaliyah dreamed of being a chef, systemic barriers stood tall. She applied to culinary schools, denied. She pitched menu ideas at restaurants, ignored. She worked as a waitress, clinging to dignity while biting her tongue through the stares and slurs. Until one day, a customer left behind a flyer. MasterChef USA, auditions for home cooks. Her heart raced. Her co-workers laughed. Aaliyah's manager warned, those shows don't cast people like us unless it's for drama. But her grandmother said, baby, they can't erase your flavor. Aaliyah applied, submitting a raw video of her making smoked jerk lamb with sweet potato puree and a twist of peach molasses sauce. The visuals weren't fancy, but the soul in the food was undeniable. Weeks later, she got a callback. As the show progressed, Aaliyah stood out. Her dishes were bold, unapologetically black, southern, and soul-rich, not adjusted for white palates. She turned okra, collards, and catfish into fine dining. Some judges loved her. Others questioned her. Why always cook ethnic food? Do you know any French technique? Still, she cooked. And in the quarterfinals, guess who walked in as a surprise guest judge? Grant Holloway. He froze. You. She smiled, confident now. Still just a waitress? In the finale, the task was clear: create a 3-course meal representing your identity. Aaliyah plated her soul. Appetizer, fried green tomatoes with Creole aioli, a nod to her roots. Main, bourbon braised oxtails over cheddar grits, honoring her ancestors. Dessert, sweet tea panna cotta with lemon glaze, Southern hospitality redefined. The room was silent after the first taste. One judge wiped a tear. Another said, "This isn't food, it's history in every bite." When her name was called as the winner, the crowd erupted. Grant stood, jaw clenched, then reluctantly clapped. Aaliyah didn't just win a title, she won a platform. She opened her own restaurant. Reclaimed. There, she served food that honored black culture, with walls covered in photos of unsung black chefs from history. She hired young cooks of color, giving them the mentorship she never had. When asked what kept her going, she said, "Every time someone looked at me and saw a stereotype, I cooked something unforgettable." And Grant Holloway? He later wrote an article titled, "I judged her by her skin until she changed my palate forever." They thought she was just a waitress. But she carried generations of flavor, pride, and resistance in her hands. Loudspeaker subscribe to Stories for Change, where voices like Aaliyah's rise and bias gets served its due.